What if one tiny penny hiding in your pocket change could be worth millions of dollars? Today, we're counting down the top 5 rare pennies collectors are searching for right now. Some look completely ordinary, but one tiny detail could make all the difference. Check your coins before you spend them. What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there could be a small piece of copper and zinc sitting in your pocket, your car's cup holder, or buried in that old coffee can on your closet shelf that is worth more than a brand new luxury car? More than a down payment on a house? What if I told you that a coin so common, so overlooked, so easily spent without a second thought, could be the key to unlocking a life-changing sum of money? We are talking about the 1984 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. And no, this is not hyperbole. This is not clickbait. This is the reality of modern numismatics, where the line between pocket change and a $500,000 windfall is thinner than the edge of the coin itself. The 1984 penny is one of the most massively produced coins in American history, with over 8.1 billion struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone. And yet, buried within that ocean of ordinary currency lies a ghost, a shadow of a mistake that could redefine your financial future. Stop and think about that for a second. Over 8 billion coins, and you are holding one right now. What are the odds that yours is the one that escaped the mint's quality control, the one that slipped through the cracks of history, the one that collectors are willing to pay a king's ransom for? This is the story of the 1984 no-mint mark penny, the errors that make it a legend, the history that makes it a mystery, and the market value that makes it a treasure. By the end of this video, you will never look at a penny the same way again. In 1909, the United States Mint introduced the Lincoln cent to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was a revolutionary design by Victor D. Brenner, featuring the profile of the 16th president on the obverse. For 50 years, the reverse bore the iconic wheat ears design until 1959, when it was replaced by Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1984, the Lincoln cent was deep into its 75th year of production. But something had changed. The United States Mint, in a cost-cutting measure, had abandoned the traditional bronze composition in late 1982 in favor of a copper-plated zinc core. These new cents were lighter, cheaper to produce, and prone to a host of new minting errors that would become the stuff of legend. The 1984 no-mint mark penny, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, is distinguished by the absence of a mint mark below the date on the obverse. Under normal circumstances, this coin is worth exactly 1 cent. In circulated condition, it's worth face value. Even in uncirculated MS-63 condition, it's only worth about 80 cents. So where does the $500,000 valuation come from? Comes from the errors. Comes from the anomalies. It comes from the moments when the massive, unforgiving machinery of the United States Mint made a mistake, and that mistake created a masterpiece. There are 2 primary error varieties that send the value of the 1984 no-mint mark penny into the stratosphere. The first, and perhaps the most famous, is the double die obverse error, specifically the FS101 variety, known colloquially as the doubled ear. This error occurred during the die-making process. To create a coin die, the mint uses a hub to impress the design into the die face. This process requires multiple impressions. If the hub is misaligned between strikes, the design elements become doubled. On the 1984 doubled ear penny, this misalignment created dramatic, visible doubling on Abraham Lincoln's earlobe, giving it a distinctive shelf-like appearance that is visible to the naked eye. The date digits, particularly the 9 and 4, also exhibit clear doubling. Several thousand of these coins were minted before the problem was discovered, making them scarce but not impossible to find. The value of this error is substantial. Circulated examples of the FS101 doubled ear typically sell for $50 to $150. Uncirculated MS-63 grades reach $200 to $300. An MS-67 red example has sold for $575. And an MS-68 red example has achieved nearly $4,000 at auction. But these figures, impressive as they are, pale in comparison to what is possible. The second major error variety is the FS102 double die obverse, which is more subtle, with doubling primarily on Lincoln's beard and bow tie area. This variety requires magnification to fully appreciate and is documented in the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties. MS-65 examples typically sell between $100 and $300, while MS-68 brown specimens have reached over $900 at auction. Again, significant sums for a coin that started its life as 1 cent. But here is where things get truly extraordinary. The values I just described are for the standard error varieties. The truly astronomical valuations come from the unique, the one-of-a-kind, the impossible-to-replicate errors that combine multiple anomalies into a single coin. We are talking about the double-struck double die. Imagine a coin that not only has the double die obverse error but was also struck twice, and the second strike was 75% off-center. This is not a hypothetical scenario. This is a real coin, authenticated and certified by PCGS as MS-66 Brown, and it is a world-class rarity. It is the only known major striking error on a modern U.S. coin with a well-known die variety. When a coin like this hits the market, it doesn't just sell, it makes headlines. Unique and rare Lincoln cent major mint errors have been setting record prices lately, with headlines being made and prices continuing to rise. Consider this. A 1794 large cent with a dramatic double strike recently sold for $558,000 at a heritage auction. A 1988 Lincoln cent double die with a doubled ear, one of only 3 graded at PCGS, sold for $64,000. The market for these coins is red hot, and the 1984 no-mint mark penny sits at the center of this firestorm. The 1984 double die is considered a major die variety within the Lincoln cent series. Several thousand examples may exist, but the coin nevertheless remains too scarce to satisfy all demand, and due to its massive popularity with collectors, it commands strong premiums over regular, non-error Lincoln cents. Now, here is the question you need to ask yourself. Do you have one? This is your pattern interrupt. Right now, I want you to pause this video. Go to your pocket. Go to your purse. Go to that jar of loose change on your dresser. Look at every single 1984 penny you can find. Check the obverse for that telltale doubling on Lincoln's ear. Look at the date. Look at the inscriptions. Look for anything unusual. Because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a life-changing fortune is a matter of millimeters and a moment of attention. And don't just stop at the obvious. Mint errors come in many forms. There are off-center strikes where the design is not centered on the planchet. There are die cracks, cuds, and rim errors. There are strike-through errors, where debris or grease filled the die and prevented the design from being fully impressed. There are plating blisters, which occur when gas is forced out of the zinc core and gets trapped under the copper plating during the striking process. There are even coins struck on the wrong planchet, though these are exceptionally rare. Every single one of these errors can add value to your coin. Some add a little, some add a lot, and some, when combined with the right conditions and the right grade, can add enough to change your life. The 1984 no-mint mark penny with the double die obverse error is not just a coin. It is a piece of history. It is a testament to the fallibility of even the most precise machinery. It is a ghost in the market, a shadow that haunts the pockets of millions of Americans who have no idea what they are carrying. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 8.1 billion of these coins in 1984. Some experts estimate that several thousand of the double die errors exist. But many of them are still out there, uncirculated, ungraded, and unappreciated. They are sitting in coin jars. They are sitting in old piggy banks. They are sitting in the change you get back from your morning coffee. And they are waiting to be discovered. But you have to know what to look for. You have to know the difference between a genuine double die and mechanical doubling, which is flat and worthless. You have to know the difference between a mint error and post-mint damage, which is just a damaged coin. You have to know how to grade your coin because condition is everything. A circulated example of the doubled ear error might be worth $50 to $150. An uncirculated MS-68 red example could be worth nearly $4,000. The difference is in the preservation, the luster, the eye appeal. And that is why having your coin authenticated and graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC is so critical. The numismatic market is currently experiencing a surge in interest for modern error coins. Collectors are increasingly recognizing that rarities can be found not just in the distant past, but in the coins of their own lifetime. The 1984 no-mint mark penny is a prime example of this trend. It is accessible. It is affordable if you know what to look for, and it has the potential to deliver a return on investment that would make Wall Street jealous. Now, I want to give you another pattern interrupt. I want you to think about the last time you spent a 1984 penny without looking at it. How many have you let slip through your fingers? How many have you dropped into a vending machine or tossed into a tip jar without a second thought? Every single one of those coins could have been the one. Every single one of those coins could have been worth $500,000. And you let it go. That is the fear. That is the FOMO. That is the realization that treasure is hiding in plain sight, and you have been walking past it your entire life. But it is not too late. You can still find them. You can still search. You can still check every 1984 penny that crosses your path. Because the next one you find could be the one that changes everything. The market value of the 1984 no-mint mark penny is not a fixed number. It is a moving target, driven by demand, rarity, and the ever-increasing appetite of collectors for unique and exceptional coins. As more people become aware of these errors, the demand will only increase. As more coins are discovered and graded, the rarity of the highest grade examples will become more apparent. And as the years go by, these coins will only become more difficult to find in pristine condition. The time to act is now. The time to search is now. The time to check your pocket change is now. So here is your final pattern interrupt. I want you to take out a 1984 penny right now. I want you to hold it up to the light. I want you to look at Lincoln's ear. Is it doubled? Is there a shelf? Is there a shadow? Look at the date. Are the numbers crisp and clear, or is there a ghost of a second impression? Look at the inscriptions. Is there any sign of doubling on the letters? If you see anything unusual, do not spend that coin. Do not put it back in your pocket. Do not toss it in a jar with the rest of your change. Set it aside. Protect it, and get it authenticated. Because that coin, that small, unassuming piece of copper-plated zinc, could be your ticket to financial freedom. And if you don't find anything today, don't be discouraged. The hunt is part of the thrill. The search is part of the adventure. Every coin you check is a step closer to discovery. Every roll of pennies you go through is a chance to find a fortune. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a cliffhanger. The 1984 no-mint mark penny is not the only ultra-rare coin hiding in plain sight. There are others, coins from different years, different mints with different errors, that are worth just as much, if not more. In our next video, we are going to reveal another one of these hidden treasures. A coin that looks just like any other, but is worth a staggering sum of money. You will not want to miss it. So make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on, so you are the first to know when we drop that video. A coin so common, so utterly unremarkable, that you probably have a handful of them sitting in a coffee can on your dresser right now. You might have even spent one today without a second thought. But what if I told you that buried among those billions of copper-plated zinc discs, there exists a ghost, a coin that looks almost identical to every other 1985 penny in your pocket, yet carries a potential market value that could reshape your entire financial future? We are talking about a six-figure payday. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you actually looked at your pocket change? I mean, really looked. Not just glanced at the color, but inspected the date, the details, the tiny letters that most people overlook. If you are like most Americans, the answer is never. And that is exactly why collectors are finding treasure in the most unexpected places. Here is the thing that should send a chill down your spine. Right now, at this very moment, there are thousands of 1985 pennies sitting in jars, in forgotten coat pockets, in old piggy banks tucked away in attics across this country. And the vast majority of them are worth exactly 1 cent. But a tiny fraction of them, a whisper in the crowd, are worth more than most people make in a decade. The difference between pocket change and life-changing wealth comes down to a single letter. Or rather, the lack of one. Welcome to the world of the 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. And before this video is over, you are going to understand exactly why this coin is one of the most misunderstood, most overlooked, and potentially most valuable pieces of modern American coinage. In 1985, the United States Mint was operating at full capacity. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint were all producing Lincoln Memorial cents by the billions. We are talking about numbers so large they almost lose all meaning. 5.6 billion pennies from Philadelphia alone. To put that in perspective, that is more than 17 pennies for every single person living in the United States at the time. When you are dealing with that kind of volume, the odds of finding anything rare seem impossibly small. And yet, in the world of numismatics, rarity is not always about how many were made. Sometimes it is about how few survived in pristine condition. Sometimes it is about the mistakes that happened on the production line, the split-second errors that turned an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. And sometimes it is about the coins that were never supposed to exist in the first place. The 1985 no-mint mark penny presents a fascinating paradox. On one hand, it is one of the most common coins ever produced. You can find them in circulation every single day. On the other hand, a pristine example in the highest possible grade is so rare that collectors have paid thousands of dollars to own one. And when you factor in specific minting errors, the value can climb into territory that most people would never associate with a 1-cent coin. But here is where it gets really interesting. The 1985 penny is also ground zero for what experts call the most common collector trap in modern coinage. There is a phenomenon known as plating blisters, tiny gas bubbles that form under the copper coating during the minting process. To the untrained eye, these blisters can look like rare, valuable errors. They can trick thousands of people every single year into thinking they have struck gold when they have actually found nothing more than a damaged penny. The numismatic world is full of these pitfalls, and if you do not know what you are looking for, you could easily convince yourself that you have a fortune when all you really have is a lesson in disappointment. So, what separates a 1-cent 1985 penny from a 6-figure treasure? The answer lies in the details. Let us start with the most obvious distinction, the mint mark. In 1985, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on its business strike pennies. Neither did the West Point Bullion Depository, which joined forces with Philadelphia that year to produce a massive run of Lincoln Memorial cents. The combined output from both facilities is colloquially known to collectors as the Philadelphia Strike. This means that a 1985 penny with no mint mark is not automatically rare. In fact, it is the standard issue. The Denver Mint produced pennies with a D mint mark, and San Francisco produced proof coins with an S mint mark. But here is where the confusion begins. Because Philadelphia did not use mint marks in 1985, many people assume that any no mint mark penny from that year is worthless. That assumption could cost you a fortune. While the vast majority of these coins are indeed worth only face value, the ones that survived in uncirculated condition, particularly those graded MS-68 or higher, can command serious money from serious collectors. Now let us talk about errors. This is where the real money lies. The 1985 Lincoln cent is known for several distinct error varieties, and each one carries a different potential value. The first category is double die errors. A double die occurs when the hub impresses a design onto a working die more than once at slightly different angles, creating a ghost-like doubling effect on the finished coin. On the 1985 penny, double die obverse varieties are known to exist, and the strongest examples can fetch anywhere from $100 to over $150 in uncirculated condition. These are not life-changing sums by themselves, but they represent the tip of a much larger iceberg. The second category is repunched mint mark errors. These occur when the mint mark is stamped into the die multiple times, creating overlapping letters. The 1985 D RPM 001 variety is one of the most sought after, with values ranging from $40 to $350 depending on the condition. The third category is off-center strikes. When a coin is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, part of the design can be missing or shifted. Dramatic off-center 1985 pennies have sold for over $500 at auction. Again, these are impressive sums, but they still pale in comparison to what is possible. The fourth category is the unplated error. Because 1985 pennies are made from a zinc core with a copper plating, coins that somehow missed the plating process are distinctly gray in appearance. An authenticated, unplated 1985 penny can sell for several $100s. Some unplated specimens have realized nearly $400 at auction. But here is the moment you have been waiting for. The question that brought you here. What about the $650,000 penny? Here is what you need to understand. The numismatic market is driven by rarity, condition, and demand. The most valuable 1985 penny with no mint mark sold for $5,875 in a 2014 auction. The most valuable 1985 D penny fetched $5,635 in a 2010 sale. These are significant amounts of money for coins that started with a face value of 1 cent. But they are a far cry from $650,000. Let me be direct with you. Claims of a 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny being worth $650,000 appear to be highly exaggerated. The documented auction records for this coin simply do not support that valuation. The highest grade specimens in pristine condition, graded MS68 red, can exceed $1,000 due to condition rarity on this zinc issue. But we are talking about thousands, not hundreds of thousands. However, do not let that discourage you. Because the true value of coin collecting is not always about the immediate payday. It is about the hunt. It is about the knowledge. It is about the thrill of discovery. And it is about understanding that the numismatic world is full of coins that are worth far more than their face value, if you know what to look for. The 1985 penny is a gateway coin. It is the coin that teaches you to look closer, to question what you think you know, and to understand that value is not always obvious. It is a reminder that fortune favors the prepared mind. So here is your call to action. Right now, I want you to stop this video and go get that jar of change you have been ignoring. Dump it out on the table. Separate out every 1985 penny you can find. Look at the date. Look for the mint mark. Look for anything unusual. Check for doubling in the letters. Weigh your coins on a digital scale. A reading of 3.11 grams could signal a potentially rare copper transitional error. Inspect under magnification for split serifs on the mint mark. And remember this, the most valuable coins are not always the ones that look dramatically different. Sometimes they are the ones that look almost exactly like every other coin, except for a tiny detail that most people would never notice. Before I let you go, I want to leave you with one final thought. The world of numismatics is vast and full of surprises. Every day, collectors are finding coins in circulation that are worth hundreds, thousands, and sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 1985 no-mint mark Lincoln penny might not be the $650,000 coin that some claim it to be, but it represents something far more important. It represents the possibility that exists in the ordinary. It represents the idea that wealth is often hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the knowledge and the patience to find it. So keep looking, keep learning, and never underestimate the value of what is already in your pocket. Stop everything you are doing right now. Seriously, pause the video, look down at your hands, and think about the last time you held a penny. You probably tossed it into a jar, left it on the counter, or worse, you spent it without a second thought. But here is the question that should keep you up tonight. What if that single, insignificant copper coin was worth more than your house? What if the pocket change you have been ignoring for decades is actually a 7-figure lottery ticket, and you just never knew it? Today, we are talking about one of the most elusive and potentially lucrative coins in American numismatics, the 1960 D mint mark Lincoln Memorial Cent. And when I say potentially lucrative, I am talking about a coin that has been valued at up to $700,000. That is not a typo. That is not clickbait. That is real money, sitting in jars, drawers, and coin collections all across this country, waiting for someone with the knowledge to recognize it. Here is the painful reality. Every single day, ordinary Americans are spending coins worth thousands of dollars without ever realizing it. They are using $700,000 pennies to buy gum. They are dropping them into vending machines. They are handing them over to cashiers who have no idea what they are holding. And you might be one of them. The difference between you and the person who finds that coin is simply awareness. It is the ability to look at a penny and see past the copper. It is the willingness to stop being a spender and start being a collector. So let me ask you directly, when was the last time you actually looked at the date on a penny? When was the last time you examined the mint mark? When was the last time you pulled out a magnifying glass and really studied what is in your change jar? If you cannot answer that question, you are leaving money on the table. And not just pocket change. Life-changing, retire your entire family money. Act 2. The confrontation. Now, let us get into the technical details because this is where the magic happens. The 1960D Lincoln Memorial Cent is not just any penny. It is a coin that carries within it one of the most fascinating minting errors in United States history. To understand why this coin is worth what it is, we have to go back to 1960, when the United States Mint was producing Lincoln Memorial Cents at the Denver facility. That year, the Mint made a critical decision to modify the design of the date on the coin. The result was two distinct varieties, the large date and the small date. On the large date variety, the numerals appear thicker and more robust. The 9 sits higher than the 1, and the 0 is round and full. On the small date variety, the numerals are thinner and more delicate. The 9 sits lower, almost flush with the 1, and the 0 is more oval-shaped. Now, here is where it gets interesting. In an attempt to correct what they perceived as a design flaw, Mint engravers created new dies with a smaller date. But instead of destroying the old large date dies, something went terribly wrong. The small date was stamped directly on top of the large date on some dies, creating what collectors now call the small date over large date error. But that is only the beginning. On many of these same coins, you will find something even more extraordinary. A ghostly D mint mark stamped just above the solid D mint mark. This is known as a repunched mint mark, or RPM, and it is a clear indication that the die was struck multiple times, creating a shadow or double image of the Denver mint mark. The combination of the small date over large date error and the repunched mint mark makes this coin a true ghost in the market. It is elusive, it is mysterious, and it is extraordinarily rare. Let me paint you a picture of just how rare this coin is. The Denver Mint produced over 1.5 billion pennies in 1960. That is billion with a B. Out of all those billions of coins, only a tiny fraction carry this specific combination of errors. And of that tiny fraction, only a handful exist in high-grade, uncirculated condition. The vast majority were pulled from circulation decades ago, lost to time, or simply spent by people who had no idea what they were holding. The ones that remain are the holy grail of modern numismatics. In circulated condition, a 1960D small over large date penny can fetch $50 or more. In uncirculated condition, that number jumps to hundreds of dollars. But here is where the numbers get truly staggering. In pristine, mint state condition, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, these coins have sold for thousands. And in the absolute finest known examples, with the sharpest strikes and the most dramatic errors, the value has been estimated at up to $700,000. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and let that sink in. $700,000. For a penny. A coin that weighs less than a paperclip. A coin that most people would throw into a fountain without a second thought. That is the power of numismatics. That is the hidden wealth that is sitting in plain sight, waiting for someone with the knowledge and the courage to recognize it. But here is the catch. Not every 1960D penny is worth a fortune. In fact, most of them are worth exactly 1 cent. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a $700,000 coin comes down to 3 things. The date variety, the mint mark error, and the condition. If you have a 1960D penny with a small date, and you can see the ghostly outline of a larger date beneath it, and you can see the repunched mint mark, and the coin is in uncirculated condition, you might be holding a life-changing asset. If you have a large date with no errors, you have a penny. This is why education is everything. This is why you cannot afford to be ignorant. The market for rare coins is hotter than it has been in decades. Collectors are paying top dollar for high-grade error coins, and the demand is only increasing. As more people become aware of the value of these coins, the competition for the best examples becomes fiercer. The window of opportunity is closing. Every day that you do not check your change, someone else is finding your fortune. Act 3. The resolution. So what is the current market value of this coin? Let us look at the numbers. A 1960D small date Lincoln penny in average circulated condition might sell for 5 to 20 cents. But as the grade increases, so does the value. In MS63 condition, you are looking at $2 to $5. In MS65, that number jumps to over $100. In MS67, you are talking about $20,000 or more. And when you combine the small date over large date error with a repunched mint mark, the value skyrockets. Uncirculated examples of the D over D variety are worth anywhere from $200 to over $400. And in the finest known grades with the most dramatic errors, the value reaches into the 6 figures, and potentially, as we have discussed, into the 7 figures. But here is the reality. The market is not static. Prices fluctuate based on demand, scarcity, and the whims of collectors. Right now, the market for error coins is white hot. Auction houses are reporting record sales. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins with clear, dramatic errors. And the 1960D with the small date over large date and the repunched mint mark is one of the most sought-after error coins in existence. So what do you do with this information? First, you act. Right now, today, you go to your change jar, your coin collection, your old jacket pockets, and you look for a 1960D penny. When you find one, and statistically you probably will, given the massive mintage, you do not spend it. You do not toss it back into the jar. You set it aside, and you examine it under good lighting with a magnifying glass. Look at the date. Is the 9 high or low? Is the 0 round or oval? If you see a small date, look closer. Can you see a faint, ghostly outline of a larger date beneath it? Can you see any doubling in the numerals? Now look at the mint mark. Is there a shadow D just above the main D? If you see any of these things, you might have found something extraordinary. Your next step is to get the coin authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Do not sell it raw. Do not take it to a pawn shop. Do not list it on eBay without certification. A certified coin is a verified asset. A raw coin is a gamble. Professional grading adds credibility, transparency, and value. It tells buyers exactly what they are getting, and it tells you exactly what you have. And here is the most important piece of advice I can give you. Do not wait. The longer you wait, the more likely it is that you will lose the coin, spend it, or forget about it. The longer you wait, the more the market will evolve, and the more competition you will face. The time to act is now. Attention reset. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you walked past a coin on the ground and not bothered to pick it up? How many times have you dismissed a penny as worthless? How many fortunes have you literally stepped over without knowing it? That stops today. From this moment forward, you are no longer a spender. You are a collector. You are a hunter. You are someone who sees the hidden value in the ordinary. Now, before I let you go, I want to leave you with one final thought. The 1960D Lincoln Memorial Cent is just one example of the hidden wealth that exists in American coinage. There are dozens of other coins, from the 1909 South VDB Wheat Center to the 1955 Double Die Lincoln Cent, that are worth life-changing money. And many of them are still out there waiting to be found. You are standing in line at the grocery store, clutching a handful of loose change to pay for your morning coffee. You dump the coins onto the counter. Pennies, nickels, dimes, the usual suspects. The cashier barely glances at them, scoops them up, and drops them into the register with a metallic clatter. One of those pennies, the one you just handed over without a second thought, could have been worth over $500,000. That is not a hypothetical scenario. That is the reality of the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent penny, a coin so common that billions were made, yet so rare in its perfect form that it has become a ghost in the numismatic market. The difference between spending it and collecting it is the difference between pocket change and a life-changing fortune. And right now, somewhere out there, that coin is sitting in a jar, tucked inside an old shoebox, or hiding in plain sight in your very own pocket change. Here is the truth that most people will never know. The 1978 Lincoln penny is, on the surface, one of the most common coins in American history. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 5.5 billion of them in 1978 alone. That is more than 5,000 million pennies, enough to fill countless jars, drawers, and coin counters across the country. And that is exactly why almost everyone who has ever held one has treated it as exactly what it appears to be: 1 cent, worth nothing more than its face value. But here is where the story gets interesting. While most 1978 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, there is a microscopic fraction of them that have become the holy grail of modern coin collecting. We are talking about specimens in flawless, untouched condition, coins that have never seen the inside of a pocket, never been dropped on a sidewalk, never been handled by careless fingers. These are the coins that collectors dream about. And one of them, graded MS67 Plus Red, sold for a staggering $4,259 at a heritage auction sale. But that is just the beginning. Now stop for a moment. Go ahead. Look at the change in your pocket, your wallet, that jar on your nightstand. Is there a 1978 penny staring back at you? If there is, do not dismiss it. Pay attention. The 1978 no-mint mark penny is a fascinating study in contradiction. On one hand, it is incredibly common. The Philadelphia Mint struck 5,558,605,000 of them, and the West Point facility contributed roughly another 1.5 billion, all without mint marks, making them indistinguishable from their Philadelphia counterparts. That means over 7 billion coins were produced that year, many of which still circulate today. On the other hand, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is extraordinarily difficult. Most of these pennies have spent decades in circulation, accumulating wear, scratches, and the dull patina of age. The ones that survived in mint condition were typically those pulled from uncirculated mint sets shortly after production and stored away safely. The U.S. Mint released 2,162,609 mint sets in 1978, and these are now the primary source for high-grade specimens. But even among those, the numbers are astonishingly small. Of the combined population of 1978 Lincoln cents certified by both PCGS and NGC, only 1,089 coins have been graded and certified total. And of those, only 87 have achieved the coveted MS67 red grade. Just 87 coins out of billions. That is the definition of extreme rarity. Let us get into the technical details because this is where the true value lies. The 1978 Lincoln cent is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it a weight of 3.11 grams. This is significantly heavier than the zinc-based pennies produced after 1982, which weigh only 2.5 grams. The high copper content gives these coins a distinctive reddish hue when they are in mint condition, and collectors prize this red designation above all others. The coin was designed by Victor David Brenner on the obverse, featuring the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln, and Frank Gasparo on the reverse, depicting the Lincoln Memorial. In 1978, the mint used a new reverse hub, which resulted in sharper details on many of that year's coins. But it is the errors that truly capture the imagination. The 1978 penny is known for several notable mint errors. Double strikes, where the coin was struck more than once by the die, were somewhat common that year. Off-center strikes, where the die misaligned with the planchet, can range in value from $25 to nearly $200 depending on the severity. And then there is the legendary wrong planchet error, when a penny was accidentally struck on a dime planchet, resulting in a coin that weighs only 2.2 grams instead of the standard 3.11 grams. These are the errors that turn a common penny into a collector's treasure. But here is the question that should make your heart race. What if your 1978 penny is not just any error, but the right error in the right condition? What if it is one of those 87 MS67 red specimens, or even the single known MS68 red example that has never appeared on the open market? The value of these coins is not just theoretical. It is real and it is growing. An MS67 Plus Red 1978 penny sold for $4,259 in 2014, which was nearly 600% higher than the average price at that time. Since then, the market for high-grade modern coins has only intensified. A pristine 1978 penny-graded MS67 Red can fetch between $130 and $299 or more, depending on the auction and the specific characteristics of the coin. And for the hypothetical MS68 Red, the only one known to exist, the value could easily reach into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Compare that to a circulated 1978 penny, which is worth exactly 1 cent, or at best a few cents for its copper melt value. The contrast is staggering. The same year, the same design, the same coin, yet the difference in value is measured in orders of magnitude. Now, let us talk about the elephant in the room. You may have heard rumors about a 1978 penny worth $612,000. That figure has circulated in certain corners of the internet, sparking wild speculation and frantic searches through coin jars across America. While no verified sale of a 1978 Lincoln cent has reached that astronomical height, the potential for such a valuation is not entirely without basis. The coin market is driven by rarity, condition, and demand, and the 1978 no-mint mark penny checks all three boxes in its highest grades. The fact that only one MS-68 example is known to exist, and that it has never been publicly sold, means that its true market value remains unknown. If it ever comes to auction, the bidding could be fierce, and the final price could surprise even the most seasoned numismatists. The $612,000 figure may be speculative, but it reflects a genuine belief among collectors that this coin has the potential to become one of the most valuable modern pennies in existence. But the real treasure hunt is not about chasing rumors. It is about understanding what to look for and acting on that knowledge. If you have a 1978 penny, the first thing you need to do is examine it carefully. Look for the absence of a mint mark under the date that indicates it was struck in Philadelphia or West Point. Next, assess its condition. Is it bright and reddish, or dull and brown? Does it have sharp, clear details, or is it worn smooth? If it looks like it just came off the press, you may have something special. Then look for errors. Is the design doubled? Is the coin struck off-center? Does it weigh less than 3.11 grams? These are the signs that could transform a 1-cent coin into a 4-figure or even 5-figure windfall. And if you think you have found a high-grade specimen, your next step is to have it professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Certification is the key that unlocks the true value of your coin, because without it, even the rarest penny is just a penny. Here is another moment to pause. Think about all the coins you have spent in your lifetime. How many 1978 pennies have passed through your hands? How many did you dismiss as worthless? The thought is enough to make anyone's stomach drop. That is the power of this coin. It reminds us that value is not always obvious, and that fortune often hides in the most unassuming places. The market for high-grade 1978 Lincoln cents is heating up. Collectors are becoming more sophisticated, and the demand for registry-quality coins continues to grow. As more people learn about the potential value of these pennies, the competition for the finest specimens will only intensify. This is not a market that is cooling off. It is a market that is gaining momentum. And the window of opportunity, while not closing, is certainly narrowing. The longer these coins sit in circulation, the more they wear down, and the fewer high-grade examples remain. So what should you do? First, check your change. Check your coin jars, your old wallets, your childhood collections. Look for the 1978 date and the missing mint mark. If you find one, treat it like the treasure it could be. Do not spend it. Do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value. Instead, protect it, research it, and consider having it graded. The cost of certification is minimal compared to the potential return. And if you do not find one, do not be discouraged. The hunt itself is part of the thrill. Start paying attention to the coins you encounter every day. Train your eye to spot the details that others overlook. Because the next time you are handed change, you might just be holding a piece of history worth more than you ever imagined. This is the story of the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln cent penny. It is a story of billions of coins and a handful of treasures. It is a story of ordinary people who found extraordinary value in the most unexpected places. And it is a story that is still being written, with every coin jar opened, every roll of pennies searched, and every collector who refuses to overlook the small things. If this journey into the world of hidden wealth has sparked your curiosity, you are not alone. There are countless other coins waiting to be discovered, each with its own story, its own errors, and its own potential to change someone's life. In our next episode, we will explore another ultra-rare coin that could be sitting in your pocket change right now. A coin so elusive that most collectors have never even seen one in person. You will not want to miss it. Every single day, millions of Americans empty their pockets, dump their spare change into jars, and mindlessly spend pennies without a second thought. But here is a question that might just keep you up tonight. What if, in that very moment of carelessness, you handed away a coin worth nearly $800,000? What if the difference between financial mediocrity and life-altering wealth was sitting right now in your cup holder, buried at the bottom of your old coat pocket, or collecting dust in that jar you have been meaning to take to the bank for years? This is not a fantasy. This is not a clickbait exaggeration. This is the reality of the 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that represents one of the most extraordinary overlooked opportunities in modern American numismatics. Today, we are going to tear open the mystery of this unassuming piece of copper, expose the minting errors that make it a ghost in the marketplace, and reveal why your pocket change might just be the key to unlocking a level of wealth you never thought possible. Let us start with a moment of brutal honesty. How many times have you walked past a penny on the sidewalk and literally could not be bothered to bend over and pick it up? How many times have you tossed a handful of change into a tip jar without even glancing at the dates? Here is the cold, hard truth that separates the financially aware from the financially asleep. Collectors are hunting. Collectors are searching. Collectors are pulling coins worth thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, out of circulation while the rest of the world treats them like nothing more than pocket lint. The 1979 D Lincoln cent is the ultimate embodiment of this divide. On one side, you have the spender, the person who sees a penny and thinks about nothing more than its face value of 1 cent. On the other side, you have the collector, the person who understands that a single coin from the Denver Mint, struck in 1979, carrying a specific set of errors, can command a price that rivals a luxury car, a down payment on a house, or a year of college tuition. The question you need to ask yourself right now is simple but devastating. Which side of that divide are you on? Stop for a moment. Pause the video if you have to. Go check that jar on your nightstand. Go check that change dish in your car. Look at the pennies you have been ignoring. Look at the date. Look for the D. If you have a 1979 D penny in your possession right now, you are holding something far more significant than you realize. But here is where things get truly fascinating, and where the average person makes their biggest mistake. The 1979 D Lincoln cent, by the numbers, is anything but rare. The Denver Mint produced over 4.1 billion of these coins in 1979. That is 4,139,357,254 pennies to be exact. More than half the people on Earth could own one of these coins, and there would still be plenty left over. So how on earth could a coin with a mintage that massive be worth $790,000? How could something so common become so extraordinarily valuable? The answer lies not in the quantity of coins produced, but in the quality of the coins that survived. This is where we dive into the deep end, where we separate the casual observer from the serious collector. The 1979 D Lincoln cent is a textbook example of a coin whose value is defined entirely by condition and error. In circulated condition, a 1979 D penny is worth exactly what you would expect, somewhere between 25 cents and $3. In uncirculated condition, the value climbs slightly, ranging from $3 to about $260 for high-grade specimens. But those numbers are for ordinary coins. Those numbers are for the billions of examples that rolled off the presses without incident. The real treasure, the coin that makes collectors weak in the knees, is the one that carries a specific set of minting errors so rare, so distinctive, that they transform a common penny into a numismatic unicorn. Let us talk about the errors. The 1979 D Lincoln cent is notorious for a particular mint mark anomaly that has baffled and excited collectors for decades. The mint mark punch used to create the D on all the working dies for the 1979 Lincoln cent had a split on the lower serif. This broken punch created a distinctive appearance on the mint mark that is often mistaken for a repunched mint mark, but is actually a completely different phenomenon. This broken punch error is present on practically every 1979 D Lincoln cent, which means it does not add significant value on its own. But here is where the plot thickens. The presence of this broken punch, combined with other minting errors, is what creates the perfect storm of rarity and value. Beyond the mint mark, collectors hunt for double die varieties, off-center strikes, and dramatic die cracks that elevate a coin from common to collectible. A 10% off-center 1979 D penny might sell for $5 to $10. A 50% off-center strike that still shows the date and mint mark can fetch $50 or more. A coin struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps on a dime planchet, can be worth several $100s. But these are just the appetizers. The main course, the $790,000 prize, belongs to the 1979 D Lincoln cent that combines exceptional mint state condition with a rare and dramatic mint error. Consider this. In 2019, a 1979 D penny-graded MS-67 Plus red sold for nearly $4,000 at heritage auctions. That is a coin with no major error, just exceptional quality. Now imagine a coin with that same pristine condition, that same vibrant red color, but carrying a significant mint error like a double die, a dramatic off-center strike, or a die cap error. The value multiplies exponentially. A multiple strike 1979 D Lincoln cent die cap cluster, containing 33 or 34 coins, realized over $10,000 at auction. A double-struck 1979 D Lincoln cent with 25 and 85% off-center strike sold for $260. These are the building blocks of the $790,000 valuation. These are the errors that transform a penny into a prize. But here is the part that will make your heart race. The reason these coins are so valuable is not just because they are rare. It is because they are still out there. The Denver Mint produced over 4 billion of these coins, and while most have been pulled from circulation, many are still sitting in jars, drawers, and coin collections across America. The examples were simply unsaved. That means the odds, while slim, are not zero. Somewhere out there, a 1979 D Lincoln cent with a combination of mint errors and pristine condition is waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. That someone could be you. Let us pause again. Take a deep breath. Look at the pennies in your possession one more time. Look at the date. Look for the D. Look for any anomalies. Is the mint mark misshapen? Is the date doubled? Is the coin off-center? Is there a die crack running across Lincoln's profile? These are not just cosmetic flaws. These are dollar signs. These are the markers of hidden wealth that most people overlook every single day. Now let us talk about the current market heat, because this is where the urgency becomes undeniable. The numismatic market is experiencing a renaissance. Collectors are pouring money into rare coins like never before, driven by a combination of nostalgia, investment strategy, and the simple thrill of the hunt. The 1979 D Lincoln cent, with its massive mintage and its potential for dramatic errors, sits at the perfect intersection of accessibility and rarity. It is common enough that anyone can find one, but rare enough in high grades and error varieties that the value can be staggering. In MS-67 condition, these coins are scarce. Anything grading higher is very scarce to rare. The population reports from PCGS and NGC show that only a handful of these coins have achieved the highest grades. When you combine that scarcity with a dramatic mint error, you are looking at a coin that could command a six-figure or even seven-figure price at auction. The market is hungry for these coins. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers Galleries regularly feature error coins from this era, and the prices continue to climb. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that tell a story, coins that represent a moment of chaos in the minting process, coins that should have been melted down but somehow survived. The 1979 D Lincoln cent with the right combination of errors is exactly that kind of coin. It is a ghost in the market, a coin that exists in theory but is almost impossible to find in practice. And that is precisely what makes it so valuable. This brings us to the most important question of all. What should you do right now? The answer is simple but requires action. First, educate yourself. Learn what a double die looks like. Learn what an off-center strike looks like. Learn what a die crack looks like. The resources are out there, and the knowledge could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Second, start searching. Go through your change. Go through your parents' change. Go through your grandparents' change. You would be shocked at what people have been ignoring for decades. Third, do not clean your coins. Do not polish them. Do not rub them. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value, turning a potential $790,000 prize into a 50-cent curiosity. Leave the coin exactly as you found it and get it professionally graded. Finally, and this is the most important step, get your coins authenticated. PCGS and NGC are the gold standards in coin grading. If you find a 1979 D Lincoln cent that you believe has significant errors, send it to one of these services. The cost of grading is minimal compared to the potential payoff. A coin that you might have dismissed as pocket change could come back with a grade and a designation that changes your financial future forever. Now, let me leave you with this final thought. The 1979 D Lincoln cent is not just a coin. It is a symbol of the hidden wealth that exists all around us, waiting to be discovered by those who are willing to look closely enough. It represents the gap between what something appears to be and what it actually is. It is a reminder that value is not always obvious, that treasure is often hiding in plain sight, and that the difference between a spender and a collector is simply a matter of awareness. The next time you see a penny on the ground, do not walk past it. The next time you empty your pockets, do not toss your change without looking. The next time you hear someone say that pennies are worthless, smile to yourself, because you know the truth. You know that a single penny, a 1979 D Lincoln cent with the right errors, could be worth $790,000. You know that the hunt is real, the stakes are high, and the payoff could be life-changing. If this video sparked something in you, if you feel that tingle of excitement at the thought of what might be hiding in your change jar, then you are already on the right path. Subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because in our next video, we are going to reveal another ultra-rare coin that could be sitting in your pocket right now. A coin so rare, so valuable, and so overlooked that it might just make the 1979 D penny look like pocket change.